What if the foods you eat every single week are quietly affecting your blood pressure more than you realize? Not just medication, not just stress, but your daily food choices. Now think about this. High blood pressure does not happen overnight. It builds slowly, silently, without clear warning signs in the beginning. You may feel completely normal, no pain, no obvious symptoms, nothing that makes you stop and think. But inside your body, your blood pressure may already be rising, and over time that pressure begins to affect your heart, your circulation, and your overall health. Now here is the important part. Most people do not realize this early. They only take action when they are told something is wrong, when numbers go up, when symptoms begin to appear. And at that point, they start looking for solutions. Strict diets, complicated routines, things that feel difficult to follow. But they overlook something simple, what they eat every week. Because your body does not respond to occasional changes, it responds to patterns. Now imagine this. Every week you repeat the same foods, the same breakfast, the same snacks, the same meals. Now those choices become your pattern, and over time that pattern shapes your body. Now here is the key idea. If your weekly food pattern is not supporting your body, your blood pressure reflects that, not instantly but gradually. Now imagine the opposite. You choose foods that support your system. You include them every week, not once, not occasionally, but consistently. Now over time your body begins to respond. Now here is something very important. This is not about removing everything you enjoy. It is not about strict dieting. It is about making smarter choices within your routine. Now think about this. What if you knew exactly which foods to include every week? Simple foods, practical foods, foods you can actually follow. Now imagine having that clarity. You do not guess. You do not experiment randomly. You follow a pattern that supports your body. Now here is where experience matters, because someone who understands the body does not just look at food for taste. They look at function. Now imagine choosing foods based on how they support your blood pressure, how they support your circulation, and how they fit into your routine. Now here is the key idea. It is not about one perfect meal. It is about your weekly pattern. Because what you repeat every week creates long-term results. Now imagine this. You include certain foods every single week. They become part of your lifestyle. Now your body adapts. Now your system responds. Now your balance improves. Now here is something most people miss. They look for quick results, immediate changes, but your body does not work that way. It responds to consistency. Now imagine building a simple routine, something you can repeat, something you can maintain. Now that becomes your lifestyle. Now your body reflects that lifestyle. Now take a moment and ask yourself, what do you eat every week? Because that answer is shaping your health. Now imagine improving that pattern, not dramatically, but intelligently. Now over time, your blood pressure responds. Now here is the important part. This is not about doing more. It is about doing the right things again and again. Because sometimes it is not the big changes, it is the small daily choices that make the biggest difference. In this video, you are going to discover 10 foods that I personally include every week to support healthy blood pressure. Simple, practical, easy to follow. And once you understand this, you may start looking at your food choices in a completely different way. Because real change does not come from extreme actions, it comes from consistent habits. And that is where your health truly begins to improve. Now let us begin with something very important. What you eat is not just about filling your stomach, it is about supporting your body, especially after the age of 60. Most people think food is only for energy or taste, but after a certain age, food becomes something else. It becomes a daily tool that either supports your blood pressure or slowly works against it. Now think about this. Your body is always working, your heart is pumping, your blood is flowing, and your system is trying to maintain balance every single moment, even when you do not feel it. And everything you eat becomes part of that process. Not instantly, but gradually. Now here is the key idea. Your blood pressure is not controlled by one meal. It is influenced by what you repeat every week. Now imagine this. You eat certain foods again and again. The same breakfast, the same snacks, the same dinner habits. Over time, those foods become your pattern and your body adapts to that pattern. Now, if that pattern supports your body, your system becomes more stable, but if it does not, your blood pressure slowly reflects that. Now let us move to the first food. Food number 1, leafy greens. Now think about something simple, something easily available, something many people ignore. Leafy greens. Now imagine including them in your weekly routine, not once, not occasionally, but regularly. You do not need to overthink it. You can include them in lunch. You can include them in dinner. You can cook them in simple ways. Now here is the key idea. Simple foods that are easy to repeat are the ones that create real change. Because if something is difficult, you will not stay consistent. But if something is simple, you repeat it without thinking. Now imagine including leafy greens multiple times a week. Now your routine begins to shift. Now your body begins to respond. Now let us move to the second food. Food number 2, bananas. Now think about something quick, something easy, something you can eat without preparation. Bananas. Now imagine adding them to your routine as a snack or part of your breakfast. Now here is something important. When something is easy, it becomes consistent, and consistency is what creates results. Now imagine eating a banana regularly throughout the week. Now your pattern improves. Now your routine becomes stronger. Now let us move to the third food. Food number 3, oats. Now think about your morning routine. What do you usually eat? Something quick, something convenient. Now imagine replacing that with something more stable, something you can repeat. Oats. Now imagine starting your day with oats a few times a week. Now your morning routine becomes structured. Now your body begins to adapt. Now here is the key idea. The best foods are not the ones that are rare or complicated. The best foods are the ones you can repeat every week. Now let us take a step back. So far you have seen 3 foods: leafy greens, bananas, and oats. All simple, all practical, all easy to include. Now here is the pattern. These foods do not require effort, and that is why they work. Because you can repeat them. Now here is something very important. Repetition creates results. Now imagine building a weekly routine around simple foods. Now your body starts to recognize that pattern. Now your system becomes more stable. Now let us go a little deeper. Because knowing the foods is not enough. You need to understand how to think about them. Now imagine this. You try a food once and expect change. Nothing happens. Now you stop. Now imagine trying the same food every week. Now your body begins to respond. Now here is the difference: consistency. Now think about your current habits. What do you eat every week? Because that answer is shaping your blood pressure. Now imagine improving that list. Not dramatically, but slightly. Now over time, your body responds. Now here is something very important. This is not about removing everything you enjoy. It is about adding better options. Because when you add better foods, your overall pattern improves. Now imagine this. You do not restrict yourself. You simply improve your routine. Now your meals become more balanced. Now your system feels more stable. Now let us go even deeper. Because most people make one mistake. They try to do everything at once. They change everything, and then they stop. Now imagine doing the opposite. You change one thing, you repeat it. Now it becomes a habit. Now you add another. Now your routine grows stronger. Now here is the key idea. Small steps repeated daily create long-term change. Now imagine this. You focus on simple foods. You repeat them every week. Now your body adapts. Now your blood pressure begins to respond. Now here is something most people do not realize. Your body does not need extreme changes. It needs consistency. Now imagine building a routine that you can follow easily. Now that routine becomes part of your lifestyle. Now your body reflects that lifestyle. Now let us bring everything together. Leafy greens, bananas, oats. Simple foods, easy to repeat. Now imagine adding them into your weekly routine. Now your pattern changes. Now your system responds. Now here is the key takeaway from this part. It is not about finding perfect foods. It is about finding repeatable foods. Because repeatable habits are sustainable and sustainable habits are effective. Now take a moment and ask yourself, what can you include every week? Because that answer will shape your results. Now imagine improving your routine step by step. Now over time your body adapts. Now your system becomes more balanced. Now your energy improves. Now your blood pressure becomes more stable. Now here is the important part. This is just the beginning. Because in the next part, we are going to continue this list and show you more foods that you can easily include in your weekly routine. And once you see the full list, you will be able to build a simple pattern that actually works. Because sometimes real change does not come from big decisions. It comes from small habits repeated every single week. And that is where your health truly begins to improve. Now let us continue, because building a routine is not about 1 or 2 foods. It is about creating a weekly pattern that your body can rely on. Most people think change comes from doing something big, but in reality it comes from doing simple things again and again. Now think about this. The easier something is, the more likely you are to repeat it, and the more you repeat it, the more your body responds. Now let us move to the next foods. Food number 4, yogurt. Now think about something simple, something ready to eat, something that does not require effort. Yogurt. Now imagine adding it to your daily or weekly routine. You can eat it in the morning, you can have it as a snack, you can include it with meals. Now here is the key idea. When something fits easily into your routine, it becomes consistent. Now imagine eating yogurt multiple times a week. Now your body starts recognizing that pattern. Now your routine becomes more stable. Now let us move to the next food. Food number 5, berries. Now think about something light, something natural, something easy to include. Berries. Now imagine adding them to your breakfast or eating them as a snack during the day. Now here is something important. When food is simple and enjoyable, you do not have to force yourself to eat it. Now imagine including berries a few times a week. Now your pattern improves. Now your routine becomes stronger. Now let us move to the next food. Food number 6, nuts. Now think about snacks again. What do you usually eat when you feel slightly hungry? Most people reach for something quick, but not always something that supports their body. Now imagine replacing that with something simple. Nuts. Now imagine keeping them with you and eating them regularly. Now here is the key idea: convenience matters. Because if something is easy to access, you will repeat it. Now imagine including nuts every day or several times a week. Now your routine becomes more consistent. Now let us move to the next food. Food number 7, garlic. Now think about your cooking. What do you usually add for flavor? Now imagine improving what you already cook instead of changing everything. Garlic. Now here is something important. You do not need to create a separate routine for this. You simply include it in your meals. Now imagine using garlic regularly in your cooking. Now it becomes part of your pattern without extra effort. Now your routine improves naturally. Now let us move to the next food. Food number 8, fatty fish. Now think about your weekly meals. Do you include variety or do you repeat the same foods? Now imagine adding something once or twice a week. Fatty fish. Now here is the key idea: not everything needs to be eaten daily. Some foods work best when included weekly. Now imagine planning your meals and including this once or twice. Now your weekly pattern becomes more balanced. Now let us take a step back. So far you have added yogurt, berries, nuts, garlic, and fatty fish. Now here is the pattern. All of these foods are simple. They are easy to include. They do not require major changes. That is why they work. Because you can repeat them. Now think about this. If something is difficult, you will stop doing it. But if something is easy, you will continue without thinking. Now here is something very important. The goal is not perfection. The goal is consistency. Now imagine building a weekly routine. Simple foods easy to include. Now your routine becomes stable. Now your body responds. Now let us go deeper. Because knowing the foods is only one part, applying them is what matters. Now imagine this: you know all these foods, but you do not include them regularly. Nothing changes. Now imagine including them weekly. Now your pattern changes. Now your body adapts. Now here is the key idea. Your weekly pattern matters more than individual meals. Because patterns create results. Now think about your routine. What do you eat every week? Because that answer is shaping your blood pressure. Now imagine improving that pattern, not drastically but intelligently. Now over time your body responds. Now here is something most people miss. They try to change everything at once, and then they stop. Now imagine doing the opposite. You change one thing, you repeat it. Now it becomes a habit. Now you add another. Now your routine grows stronger. Now here is the key idea: small steps repeated consistently create long-term change. Now imagine building your routine slowly, one food at a time. Now your system adapts. Now your balance improves. Now here is something very important. This is not about doing something extreme. It is about doing something sustainable. Because sustainable habits are the only ones that last. Now imagine having a routine that you can follow every week without effort. Now that becomes your lifestyle. Now your body reflects that lifestyle. Now let us bring everything together. Yogurt, berries, nuts, garlic, fatty fish. Simple foods easy to repeat. Now imagine including them in your weekly routine. Now your pattern improves. Now your system becomes more stable. Now here is the key takeaway from this part. Building a routine is about simplicity. Because simple routines are sustainable, and sustainable routines create results. Now take a moment and ask yourself, can you include these foods every week? Because if you can, you create consistency, and consistency creates change. Now imagine improving your routine step by step. Now over time your body responds. Now your blood pressure becomes more stable. Now your energy improves. Now your system feels more balanced. Now here is the important part. This is not the end. Because in the next part, we are going to complete the list and bring everything together so you can clearly see how to apply this in your daily life. Because once you understand how to apply it, everything becomes easier. And that is where real improvement begins. Now let us move forward and complete the list, because by now you have started to understand something very important. This is not about one perfect food. It is about building a routine that your body can rely on every single week. Now think about this: the more simple your routine becomes, the more consistent you become, and consistency is what creates real change. Now let us move to the next foods. Food number 9, beans and lentils. Now think about something traditional, something already part of many meals, something you do not need to learn from scratch. Beans and lentils. Now imagine including them in your weekly routine, not once, not occasionally, but regularly. You can eat them with lunch, you can include them in dinner, you can prepare them in simple ways that already fit your lifestyle. Now here is the key idea: foods that are already part of your culture are easier to maintain. Because you do not need to change everything, you simply need to be more consistent. Now imagine eating beans or lentils a few times every week. Now your routine becomes stronger. Now your body starts recognizing that pattern. Now let us move to the final food. Food number 10, dark chocolate in moderation. Now this may surprise you because most people think that improving health means removing everything enjoyable. But that is not true. Now imagine including something you enjoy in a controlled and balanced way. Dark chocolate. Now here is the key idea. Sustainable routines include balance, because if something feels too strict or too restrictive, you will not continue it. Now imagine enjoying small amounts occasionally. Now your routine becomes realistic. Now you do not feel restricted. Now you stay consistent. Now let us take a step back and look at everything together. Leafy greens, bananas, oats, yogurt, berries, nuts, garlic, fatty fish, beans, lentils, and dark chocolate. Now here is the pattern. These foods are simple. They are easy to find. They are easy to include. And most importantly, they are easy to repeat. Now here is something very important. It is not about eating all of them every single day. It is about including them throughout your week. Now imagine this. You plan your meals. You include different foods on different days. Now your routine becomes balanced. Now your body responds to that balance. Now here is the key idea. Variety and consistency together create results. Now think about your current routine. Is it balanced or are you repeating the same foods without awareness? Now imagine improving that routine even slightly. Now over time, your body reflects that change. Now here is something most people do not realize. They focus too much on what to avoid, but they do not focus enough on what to include. Now imagine shifting your focus. Instead of removing everything, you simply start adding better options. Now your routine improves naturally. Now your system becomes more stable. Now let us go deeper. Because knowing the foods is only one part, applying them is what truly matters. Now imagine this. You know all 10 foods, but you do not include them regularly. Nothing changes. Now imagine including them every week. Now your pattern changes. Now your body adapts. Now here is the key idea. Knowledge without action does not create results. Now imagine turning knowledge into routine. Now your habits improve. Now your system improves. Now let us make this simple. You do not need a strict plan. You do not need complicated schedules. You just need awareness. Now imagine looking at your week and deciding which foods you will include. Now your routine becomes structured. Now your body starts recognizing that pattern. Now here is something very important. This is not about perfection. You do not need to follow everything exactly. You just need consistency. Now imagine being consistent week after week. Now your body adapts. Now your system stabilizes. Now your blood pressure becomes more balanced. Now your energy improves. Now your overall health improves. Now here is the key takeaway from this part. The foods themselves are simple, but their power comes from repetition. Because repetition creates patterns, and patterns create results. Now take a moment and ask yourself, what does your weekly routine look like? Because that answer is shaping your health. Now imagine improving that routine step by step. Now over time, your body responds. Now here is the important part. This is not about doing more. It is about doing things smarter. Because sometimes the simplest routines create the biggest impact. Now imagine building a weekly routine that actually works for you. Not something complicated, not something difficult, but something practical, something repeatable. Now your lifestyle improves. Now your body reflects that improvement. Now here is something most people miss. They wait for the perfect time. They wait for motivation. They wait for a big change. Now imagine not waiting. Imagine starting with small steps. Now those steps become habits. Now those habits become patterns. Now those patterns create results. Now here is the key idea. Small, consistent actions always beat big temporary efforts. Now imagine choosing consistency. Now your routine becomes sustainable. Now your results become long-term. Now this brings us to the final part, because in the next part we are going to bring everything together and show you how to apply all of this in a simple and clear way. So you can build a routine that supports your blood pressure, your circulation, and your overall health without confusion. Because once you understand how to apply it, everything becomes easier. And that is where real change truly begins. Now let us bring everything together, because by now you understand something very important. This is not about one food. It is not about one meal. It is about patterns. Daily patterns, weekly habits repeated over time. Now think about everything you have learned. You have seen 10 simple foods, not rare, not complicated, but practical, easy to include and easy to repeat. Now here is the key idea. Your body responds to what you repeat, not what you do once, not what you try occasionally, but what becomes part of your routine. Now imagine two different people. In the first case, they eat randomly. There is no pattern. No consistency. Some days they eat better, some days they do not. Now their body receives mixed signals. Now their system becomes unstable. Now their blood pressure becomes harder to manage. Now imagine the second person. They follow a simple routine. They include certain foods every week. They repeat the same healthy pattern. Now their body adapts. Now their system becomes more stable. Now their blood pressure becomes more balanced. Now here is the important point. The difference between these two is not effort. It is consistency. Because both people are eating, but one is eating without awareness and the other is eating with intention. Now think about your own routine. What do you eat every week? Because that answer is shaping your health. Now imagine improving that routine, not dramatically, but intelligently. Now over time, your body responds. Now here is something very important. This is not about removing everything you enjoy. It is about adding the right things. Because when you add better foods, your overall pattern improves naturally. Now imagine this. You include leafy greens. You include fruits. You include simple whole foods. Now your meals become more balanced. Now your system becomes more stable. Now your body begins to respond. Now here is the key benefit. You do not feel restricted. You do not feel overwhelmed. You simply improve your routine step by step. Now let us make this practical. You do not need a strict plan. You do not need complicated schedules. You just need awareness. Now imagine looking at your week. Planning simple meals, including these foods naturally. Now your routine becomes structured. Now your body adapts. Now here is something most people miss. They look for quick fixes, short-term results, but ignore long-term habits. Now imagine focusing on consistency, week after week, month after month. Now your body reflects those habits. Now your system stabilizes. Now your blood pressure becomes more balanced. Now here is the key idea. Consistency beats intensity. Now think about this. Would you rather follow a strict diet for a few days or a simple routine for years? Because one is temporary and the other is sustainable. Now imagine choosing sustainability. Now your routine becomes part of your life. Now your body responds naturally. Now here is something very important. This is not about perfection. You do not need to follow everything exactly. You just need to stay consistent. Now imagine being consistent even with small steps. Now those steps become habits. Now those habits become patterns. Now those patterns create results. Now take a moment and ask yourself, what can I improve this week? Because real change starts small. Now imagine making one small change. You include one better food. You repeat it. Now it becomes part of your routine. Now imagine adding another. Now your routine becomes stronger. Now here is the key takeaway. You do not need to change everything at once. You just need to start and then stay consistent. Now here is the final message. Your health is not built overnight. It is built through patterns, through daily choices, through weekly habits. Now imagine taking control of those habits. Understanding your routine, improving it step by step. Now your body responds. Now your system feels different. Now your energy improves. Now your daily life improves. Now here is the final takeaway. It is not about eating less. It is about eating smarter. Because smarter choices repeated consistently create real results. Now imagine this. You wake up and follow a routine that supports your body. You eat with awareness. You choose better foods. You stay consistent. Now over time, your body reflects those habits. Now here is something very important. You do not need perfect conditions. You do not need perfect timing. You just need consistency. Because even small improvements when repeated every week create meaningful change. Now take a moment. Think about your routine. Think about your habits. And ask yourself one question. What can I improve today? Because that answer is where real change begins. And the best time to start is now. Because your body is always responding to what you do every single day. And once you understand that you take control of your health, step by step, day by day, habit by habit. Now before you go, there is something important. In the next video, we are going to go even deeper. Not just what to eat, but what to avoid. Common foods that many people continue eating without realizing how they affect blood pressure and circulation. Simple awareness, practical guidance. So make sure you do not miss it, because sometimes what you remove is just as important as what you add. And that is where real balance begins.